to get to sustained healing, you do have to get to the root of problems.
Of course.
But regardless, tapping will lower your cortisol levels, lower your adrenaline, lower that fight, flight, or freeze mentality, and tell your brain that you're safe in that moment. So you will feel relief. It's just not healing. It's just relief at the moment until you get deep. Sometimes there's different reactions. Sometimes people feel less pain in their body. Sometimes they feel energetic. Sometimes they say they don't feel anything at all, but a week later, they'll say what a beautiful day it is instead of having a list of complaints, things like that.
Alrighty, well, welcome back to the Remember You podcast, the place where we peel back the layers, reclaim the parts of ourselves we abandoned, and remember who we really are beneath the noise. I'm so glad you're here, and whether it's your first time tuning in or your eighth, you made it back. Welcome home. Today's episode is the one that speaks directly to the soul, especially if you've ever felt like your nervous system has been living on high alert because of manipulation, control, or constant guilt tripping. We're going to talk about what happens when someone you were taught to love is actually the person you've had to survive. Our guest today is Jenny Jurek, a professionally trained EFT and tapping practitioner and transformation advisor who helps women heal from toxic parental relationships. She specializes in helping you evict the guilt, set boundaries, and finally enjoy being the main character in your own life. It's just amazing. Jenny's here because she's been through it and tapping has saved her life. And today she's going to share how it works, why it works, and what's possible when you start choosing yourself over old programming. So get cozy, get curious, and if you're open to it, get ready to feel seen in a whole new way.
Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thanks for being part of the show today. We appreciate it. First off, can you tell us what EFT is for our listeners that don't understand it?
Sure. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique or tapping, and it's actually derived from acupuncture. You are tapping on meridian points of the body.
And what brought you to this work?
Well, as like it said in the intro, tapping saved my life. When I started noticing real healing, and it was so palpable, everyone around me noticed it. So, which was sometimes good and sometimes tough. From that alone, I knew this was not something you keep to yourself. Everybody has a right to knowledge, and so I want to pay it forward and help as many people as want to be helped.
Okay. Great. And what did healing start to look like for you?
I would say how do I want to word this? My emotions got under control. So every time something triggered me, I didn't know it was from a past trauma. I just thought that I was crazy and, uncurable, unhelpable. So, and you're told that as well, and you're told that enough times in various ways, you do believe that. So, emotions, when I started tapping and was able to get the trauma released, you have to get uncomfortable to do that. But once you get it released, you can talk about a trauma without it triggering you. And you're not stuck in, for example, a PTSD state like I was.
Can you talk about what got you, what was the final straw that finally led you to EFT to ultimately, as you said, save your life?
Yeah, I, about 6 years ago, had a meltdown and it landed me in a hospital. I was frozen, couldn't make a decision. And my emotions were wild. And it was a live or die moment for me. And I was introduced to tapping from someone. It's not a medically, it's getting there, but it's not a medically, I guess, accepted thing quite yet. There's lots of studies out there that show it's helpful, but I was introduced to it, never heard of it, didn't know what it was, but I'm like, why not give it a shot?
And did you understand what the traumas were at the time?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Can someone ask the question?
Can try speaking into the mic.
Do you understand what the traumas were at the time before you started EFT, or did you find out afterwards, after you
I
started?
found out afterward. I didn't know anything was related to trauma from my childhood. I had been to talk therapy, which did nothing for me personally because there was never any solutions introduced. Medications for depression just felt like a Band-Aid covering a wound without the wound actually healing. So that was pointless. So tapping for me was like a last straw. It's a live or die. Like, if this doesn't work, I probably won't survive. That was the moment where my headspace was.
Yeah, I think seeking alternative remedies kind of gets to that point with a lot of people, right? Where you try Western medicine approach, try all these things, you find out it masks the symptoms, not necessarily removes them. With that last resort being EFT, how did you get introduced to it? Like, what was the connecting the dots looking back? How did that look like? You went in the ER, then from there, what happened?
So once I was settled down, it was just someone, I don't want to get into too much detail, but it was someone in the hospital that had tried it for themselves. And so I was introduced to like a seminar or a world summit type thing where a bunch of these tapping folks get together and they talk about what it is not, what it works for, why it works, and the history of how it began, all of that. And during that summit, you're tapping. And I found myself like really being triggered, but feeling really good afterwards for the day. This wasn't a one-day thing. This was like a 10-day summit. It was not like this one and done thing. There were 10 days of solid tapping, and they talked about trauma and the brain. So the brain really fascinates me, and that's where this starts, and that's why it is effective. So it works with the amygdala in the brain. This is the emotional center of your brain, the fight, flight, or freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're tapping, you're telling your subconscious mind that it's okay to face this trauma because you are safe now to deal with it and you're safe to let it go. So I just started doing that. And then I connected with a professionally trained tapper that would help me with the deep-rooted trauma. I didn't know where to begin with that. It all started with her asking me questions. And that's how that all started.
So where on the body did you begin the tapping?
So there's several meridian points on the body, the side of the hand. So you would start tapping and you would start with the side of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the inner eye or the eyebrow point, inner eyebrow point.
Aren't these like
the side of the eye? And then you're going under the eye. And then you're going under the nose, under the mouth. And then you're tapping on your collarbone, just a little below it. And then underneath your arms. And then on top of your head. And that's the sequence that I was taught and that I do with my clients, because there's more, but I really don't go into those unless someone's uncomfortable with a certain tapping point. Sometimes the collarbone is real tender for people and it just does not help. So I'll use a different tapping point like the wrists, or if someone doesn't like to touch at all, I just hold your fingers to your eyes. Don't tap. It's still effective because you're signaling your amygdala that it's safe to be calm and it's safe to talk about a tough subject. Wow. That's all. That's what the conscious and subconscious, that's what it's for. Verbalizing what's going on while you tap. It's telling your mind that it's okay to do that. You're safe to do that because all your subconscious is doing is trying to protect you.
Interesting.
So common client breakthroughs. So what have you seen?
Well, it's different. Some of the things I've seen the most, I would say, well, let me be clear with this. EFT doesn't erase past trauma or keep future traumas from happening. Life still happens. But what the process does is release the past trauma and even trauma that's happening now from holding space in your brain and holding it in your body. So part of my meltdown was that my traumas couldn't stay in my body anymore. So my body reacted in order to survive. So one breakthrough that I see, once trauma is starting to be released, it's possible to discuss that trauma without feeling triggered. And in my case, that allows me to now talk about it and help other people with it because I'm no longer triggered. My mind says now, oh, you're safe from this now. I don't need to protect you now from this. So go ahead and talk about it with others. That's okay with me. That's your brain telling you that. So another big breakthrough I see is clients that release trauma, especially parental trauma or religious trauma, find themselves willing to forgive. I also did. And this is a strange one for me. So forgiveness doesn't accept or excuse the actions of a person that hurt them. Not sure why society is so into strongly believing that that's the case. That's actually a lie. So forgiveness releases my clients and it released me from the abuser that was still controlling me in my head, which in my case was my mother. It sets me free, not her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So how many sessions does it usually take? Because I know you, like, when you first went through your transformation, you were tapping a lot because you had a lot of physical symptoms, right? That needed to get taken care of, like fevers that you had no idea where they were coming from and stuff like that. So do you do it individualized based on what your clients are looking for or how bad the trauma is, or like how many sessions do they usually need to start feeling good?
Well, individuals are as different as their fingerprints, and that includes with tapping. So for me, let's start with me. I was tapping 7 hours a day for a month straight every day because I was so sick and tired of where I was at. I was willing to do the ugly crying and the uncomfortableness and face it all because I was tired. I was ready. So most people are not at that point, but I was. So a month later, I'm a completely different person. I don't tell my clients that. I don't expect them to do that once a week for 6 weeks, and you're going to see a significant change in 1 hour of tapping.
Well, one of the reasons why I know you and I invited you here was because I am one of your clients and you really helped me, and we worked. It depended on what my schedule looked like, but we worked usually every other week or so for quite a bit to help me get through some trauma that I dealt with in my childhood, but also divorce and other things. Jenny helped me also get through some stuff with my business. So I saw how you work, and you basically are very, like you said, it's different for everybody and you work based on their schedules.
And so when you said triggered, that meant that people maybe start crying or are unable to talk about a subject. Is that the trigger?
Sometimes it is. For me, for example, it could be a thought, it could be a memory, it could be someone's voice that will put your mind back into, oh, that's that similar thing that happened to me when I was 7. I'm going to protect her now or him. So that's what triggers PTSD in particular. You can bring someone right back into a state just by the sound of someone's voice or the sound of a toy gun popping or, a thought or a dream. Things like that are triggers.
Yeah, because I've seen people with PTSD with extreme trauma, they can start sweating and feel like they need to get out of a situation really quickly. So tapping can help them deal with that and maybe not feel that way anymore.
Correct. In fact, PTSD is one of the biggest studies they did with veterans. And so it's about a 93% permanent relief.
Wow.
And not only does the PTSD individual find relief, so do their spouses when they tap along. It's called secondary benefits. So if someone with PTSD is in a family, has a family, they can tap along and get as much relief as the person suffering with the PTSD.
Wow.
That makes sense. Your nervous systems are linked up. So if if they're calming their nervous system, it's in tandem with them. Like there's multiple vehicles for therapy, and EFT being a specific vehicle, right, to provide that success rate. Like with your clientele, who do you find is like a good candidate, open-minded, open-hearted to be able to really take in the EFT? Because that's usually what I find is the effectiveness of the vehicle is how open they are to actually, bring the signals in and actually get the most out of it.
Yeah. So with tapping, there have been people, including myself, because I didn't know it was going to work and I gave it a shot, right? But tapping, some people think it's nonsense, and I'll literally start with, let's tap on you not believing in tapping.
Nice.
And so we are tapping. I do not believe in this. This is such a load of crap. I don't think this is going to work at all, and just to start there and then ask them to believe in my belief.
Mm-hmm.
Because that starts that tiny little opening in their mind that they're safe to try it. So that's where I'll begin with someone like that. And it's okay to feel that way too. So I'm acknowledging that it's okay to feel the way you feel about tapping. Everybody has things that work for them better than other things, and that's okay.
That's really good. It's not trying to force them into anything, and then it's the low cost, high return potential, or
Right.
potentially, if worst case scenario, they're just walking out, having spent some time with themselves, working
And
through
feeling
things.
a little bit better, a little bit stress-free.
Yeah.
Now, to get to sustained healing, you do have to get to the root of problems.
Of course.
But regardless, tapping will lower your cortisol levels, lower your adrenaline, lower that fight, flight, or freeze mentality, and tell your brain that you're safe in that moment. So you will feel relief. It's just not healing. It's just relief at the moment until you get deep.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, I know we've talked about it with kids in school, and or they're like really angry and they're having outbursts. How could parents use this to just real quick snap their child out of something that maybe they're having an anger issue or whatever? Yeah. Is there something they could do? You could maybe give them to help their child just to calm down, get out of the fight or flight, and make some like non-emotional decisions.
Well, it's very effective on children because they're very open already. When a child, I'll take my son, for example, when he was younger and would have a temper tantrum and he's crying and he's not even hearing me, right? So what I've done is just, okay, son, just tap on your eyebrows for me. And I'm doing it for him and he's watching me. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to verbalize anything. He can think it in his mind and it will calm him down.
Nice.
He doesn't have to repeat after me. Nobody does, especially if it's something they're really ashamed or feeling guilty that they don't want to talk about that either happened to them or they've done. So for my son, I'm like, just follow my lead. And he would tap, not say anything. And that got that temper tantrum to a point where he could just breathe and then talk to me about what was going on. So it works in the immediate as well.
Got it.
What have you noticed in your personal life? And you could probably speak behind, and I'm sure Christina could also speak on this, but like the calming effect, as you mentioned, like with a spouse or partner, being able to tap with them, the breakthroughs that they've had in such cases of, children not listening, misbehaving, or, life around them is chaos, but then they start to cool down, calm down, heal these traumas, the domino effect that comes from that. Can you speak on that?
You mean like how the parent should
So it's like I look at things from a top-down effect, like, the parent influencing the child influencing the parent, but there's somebody who has to change, right? And it's usually the parent's going to take the lead.
Well, yeah. I mean, parents think that they're supposed to be perfect and they're supposed to behave perfectly and react perfectly. And when you have a child that is frustrating you or making you angry due to something going on, everybody thinks that they can handle it in the moment, but give yourself grace to be human. You're not. So start tapping. I'm really mad that my child's doing this right now. I don't even know how to deal with this. Tapping works when you're really, really raw with your feelings. And you can say this in your head. I'm only verbalizing it for you right now, but you can say this so no one's hearing you, right? Tapping, you're frustrated with your kid. You're frustrated with yourself that you don't think you're reacting the way you're supposed to, the way society says you should. You're tapping on every raw feeling and thought that enters into your head. That will help you then make a focused decision on what to do next with your child.
Nice.
That makes sense?
Yeah. It seems like it just gives you time and space along with that connection to the unconscious you're talking about to really observe the feeling as opposed to judging it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And our first inkling is going to be pretty much acting how our parents acted towards us. It's that, whether we like it or not, I mean, we pick up things that we were taught. We have thoughts and processes that we were taught. So it's unavoidable. And the tapping gives you grace to cut through that and think of things in a new way and change your perspective and break the chains sometimes in certain cases.
Very good.
I think we're ready to have you walk us through a session if you don't mind. And for the listeners or who might be listening, you can kind of tap along with us. If you kind of say, okay, move to your shoulders or whatever as you're doing it, if they're not watching this on YouTube or whatever, so they can follow along. And obviously, if you're in your car, pull over to do this or just kind of learn as we're going.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that we could do is most everybody on this planet right now is feeling some kind of overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be anything at all. It can be in your personal life, your work life, anything at all. World events. I stay away from the news personally. It's helped me tremendously. But if you want to each of you think of your own personal overwhelm that's going on. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to say very generic statements, but you focus on that particular thing that's overwhelming you right now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just follow along either out loud or in your mind. It doesn't matter. It still works.
Okay.
So let's start tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I have this incredible overwhelm in this situation in my life right now.
Even though I have this incredible overwhelm in this situation in my life right now.
I choose to believe I am okay in this moment.
I choose to believe I'm okay in this moment.
And that I cannot always control everything.
And that I cannot always control everything.
And I'm going to leave space to accept myself.
And I'm going to leave space to accept myself.
And even though I have all this overwhelm going on for this moment.
And even though I have all this overwhelm going on in this moment.
I give space to acknowledging that I feel this way.
I give space to acknowledge that I feel this way.
And I accept that it's okay to feel this way.
And I accept that it's okay to feel this way.
And I give my mind permission to relax.
And I give my mind permission to relax.
And even though I have all this overwhelm going on.
And even though I have all this overwhelm going on.
Everything is out of control.
Everything is out of control.
I can't handle it.
I can't handle it.
It's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
I choose to acknowledge these feelings as valid.
I choose to acknowledge these feelings as valid.
And accept myself right here, right now.
And accept myself right here, right now.
Eyebrow point, the inner eyebrow point. All this overwhelm.
All this overwhelm.
Side of the eye. I cannot handle it anymore.
I cannot handle it anymore.
Under the eye. What can I do to fix this?
What can I do to fix this?
Under the nose. How can I handle this?
How can I handle this?
Under the mouth. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Collarbone. It's never going to get better.
It's never going to get better.
Under the arms. This is the worst I've ever felt and I'm going to feel ever.
This is the worst I've ever felt and I'm ever going to feel.
Top of the head. And this overwhelm is always going to be there.
And this overwhelm is always going to be there.
Inner eye point, eyebrow point. But what if there's a new way of looking at this?
But what if there's a new way of looking at this?
Side of the eye. Giving myself some grace.
Giving myself some grace.
Under the eye. I cannot control everything.
I cannot control everything.
Under the nose. Nor was I designed to control everything.
Nor was I designed to control everything.
Under the mouth. So I give myself grace right now.
So I give myself grace right now.
Collarbone. I give myself permission to let this overwhelm go.
I give myself permission to let this overwhelm go.
Under the arms. I choose to let this go from my body and my mind.
I choose to let this go from my body and my mind.
Top of the head. From every cell in my body, I let this overwhelm go.
From every cell in my body, I let this overwhelm go.
Eyebrow point. I know I cannot control everything, and that's okay.
I know I cannot control everything, and that's okay.
Side of the eye. I give myself permission to relax.
I give myself permission to relax.
Under the eye. I give myself permission to focus.
I give myself permission to focus.
Under the nose. I give myself permission to release it from my body.
I give myself permission to release it from my body.
Under the mouth. It's okay for my mind to relax.
It's okay for my mind to relax.
Collarbone. It's okay for my mind and my body to relax together.
It's okay for my mind and my body to relax together.
Under the arms. Overwhelming situations do not define me.
Overwhelming situations do not define me.
Top of the head. It's just part of life.
It's just part of life.
Okay, let's gently stop tapping. Anyone feeling anything in particular?
Every time I do this, my eyes water. It's like a release. I don't know what it is.
Sometimes there's different reactions. Sometimes people feel less pain in their body. Sometimes they feel energetic. Sometimes they say they don't feel anything at all, but a week later, they'll say what a beautiful day it is instead of having a list of complaints. Things like that. Sometimes people just feel tired. I usually feel tired.
I would, something that came to mind while I was tapping is in the world of like strength and fitness and all this, there's this new focus on fascia on a whole nother level. Have you tapped into any, pun intended, any connection or correlation with fascial work and tapping?
I haven't personally, but it's a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a very good deal. It can clear the lymphatic system, fascia. It can clear. I mean, if I could get into a whole other branch of hour or two of the physical effects that tapping has done through studies, that there's been genetic changes. People that think they have genetic diseases, not so much when you tap. So it is really affecting. It's the mind. The mind is so much powerful than people understand. And healing is something you have to want because the mind already wants it. So if you can get into that and ignore society, you can clear anything from your body that you want to clear. Now, is that a one and done? No, that is not a one and done. But yes, you can clear a lot of things out of your body physically.
How did you find?
I felt calm. I'm calm. I feel calm. Well, that's a good thing because I was a little maybe upset earlier. But yeah, so that's good.
So yeah, I was the same way after what we had. We had like a whole issue with everything with the mics and the video setup. So I was like a little on edge, and now I do feel the same way, like a little just like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It just is.
Right.
And even when I'm tapping for somebody else, I'm getting those benefits. I also feel calm and better when I am tapping with someone that needs it. I still get that benefit. Not everybody does. I happen to be one of those that can get those benefits.
That's awesome.
I think it's, one of those things that like you said, somebody feeling better a week later, I'm sure you as a practitioner, you're able to connect the dots a lot clearer with this, having done it and being able to see the connection between A and Z, or as I call it, like A and 1. They're two different worlds, but they do connect. But the more you do it, I'm sure the more connections people make.
Yeah, if you want sustained healing, you do have to get to the uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way your brain's going to release it because it wants to protect you. What your body is doing is surviving. Your subconscious is not meant to thrive. It's meant to survive, to help you survive. So if someone's like, you're not crazy, you're not broken, one of the questions, like, how do you normalize that?
Yeah.
Well, you were not meant to thrive. Your brain was meant to survive. For example, our ancestors, if you walked along nonchalantly, just going about your day, well, the jaguar made you his next meal, right? So your brain was designed to protect you from watching out for those predators.
Yeah.
Our brains do not evolve the same way other things evolve. So our brain still thinks we're looking out for that jaguar, except now it's an abusive individual, whether it be a boss, a parent, a religious leader, however you want, whoever came into your life to do that to you, right? It's just that your mind is like, I got to protect. I got to survive from this thing. But it's not healing you. And time does not heal all wounds. It capsulizes in your brain. And you can see when someone is tapping on a functional MRI, you can actually see what's going on. Neural pathways of trauma stop firing. New ones start developing when you're healing.
That's powerful.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at our truth or myth time.
Oh,
Our audience tends to love this. It's kind of like a rapid fire. Justin, do you want to do it?
Sure, we'll fire off here. So we're going to answer what comes to mind first, truth or myth, and you can explain it if you feel called. Ready to go? Awesome. So tapping is just woo-woo nonsense.
myth.
You need to forgive your parents in order to heal.
Myth.
Setting boundaries means cutting people off.
Sometimes, yes.
Healing childhood traumas takes years.
Myth.
You should always try to fix your family relationships.
Myth.
If your parents die, it's too late to heal.
Myth.
EFT can help with anxiety, cravings, and sleep.
Truth.
You have to cry for it to work.
Myth.
If they're family, you owe them respect no matter what.
Myth.
You can actually rewire the brain through tapping.
Truth.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
So for our listeners, can you tell us where to find you? And we'll also put it in the show notes.
Sure. My website is my name, jennyjurek.com. And you can schedule a free consultation with me. I have that all set up and ready to go.
Cool. And then you say one of our listeners who are listening have an abusive parent that's living rent-free in their head. I know you can help them evict that, also help them with just any kind of trauma that they might be working through, any kind of thoughts that come up that really aren't true thoughts that they're just listening to. So if you could just leave us with one kind of truth that you would speak to yourself or whisper to yourself before you began this journey, what would it be?
To watch how I talk to myself. So would I talk to you, Christina, or my child the way I talk about myself to myself?
Mm-hmm.
If I would never talk to you the way I'm talking to myself in my own head, then that's a sign. That's a sign. If you're feeling guilty for saying no and setting a boundary, that's old programming. That's because you're doing something different, not because you're doing something wrong. So, these are these are signs how you know someone is still in your head, even though they don't know that and they're not even around. They are still controlling you.
I love it. Thank you.
It's a great gem there. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, listeners. Well, thank you for listening today. That's it for Remember You. We'll be back next week with more to feed the soul.